let's start the meeting of the Elmwood Park Public Library Board of Trustees for November 10th, 5 p.m. Well, at 5:03. Let's take a roll call, if you don't mind.
Trustee Belundis,
Here.
Trustee Santangelo,
Here.
Trustee Monahan,
Here.
Trustee Narayan,
Here.
Trustee Fosco,
Here.
Trustee Segura here, Trustee Pesco.
Here. Okay, let's do the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, our account balances, the general fund checking stands at $14,039.00. The building fund stands at $102,000, 709.04. The gift fund is at $2,090.77. The reserve account is at $273,331.15. Total cash on hand is $392,169.96. Fiscal year 25 to 26 expenditures to date are $1,187,183.35. Before we dig into our consent agenda today, I would like to, on behalf of the board, wish Trustee Segura happy Veterans Day tomorrow when it comes, and thank you for your service. And anybody else? Nick? And anybody else who has served, thank you for your service. I would also like to express the board's condolences to Trustee Fosco for the passing of his father last week, but followed by some joy as he just had a grandchild.
Oh, congratulations.
All right, so on our consent agenda tonight are the approval of October 13th, 2025 board meeting minutes, the approval of the payroll for October 2025, the approval of the medical insurance for November 2025, the acknowledgement of the treasurer's report, the approval of the IMRF payment for October 2025, and the approval of the general fund disbursements for October 2025. Do I have a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented?
So moved.
Trustee Fosco, do I have a second?
I'll second.
I will say Trustee Narayan, because it's pretty close. Any discussion on these? I would suggest, since I was not at the meeting, hopefully the minutes are good, because I will take everybody else's word for voting on the minutes. Are the minutes from the last meeting okay?
Yes, sir.
Everybody had a chance to review them?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, please show when we call this that I am exempting myself from voting on the meeting minutes since I was not here. So can you please call the question?
If you want to not vote on the minutes, you pull that.
Okay. Trustee Fosco, do you approve removing the approval of the minutes from your motion of the consent agenda?
So moved.
Trustee Belundis, do you second? Trustee Narayan, did you second that?
Yes.
Okay. Did we have to do a vote for that? A word vote?
Yes.
Okay. Please, Mr. Secretary, call the question of removing that.
Trustee Belundis,
Yes.
Trustee Santangelo,
Yes.
Trustee Monahan,
Yes.
Trustee Narayan,
Yes.
Trustee Fosco,
Yes.
Trustee Segura, yes, Trustee Pesco.
Yes. Now, do I have a motion to approve the October 13th board meeting minutes?
So moved. Second.
Made by Trustee Monahan. Any discussion on those minutes? Will the Secretary call that question?
Trustee Belundis,
Yes.
Trustee Santangelo,
Yes.
Trustee Monahan,
Yes.
Trustee Narayan,
Yes.
Trustee Fosco,
Yes.
Trustee Segura, yes, Trustee Pesco.
Yes. Oh, sorry, abstain. Yes, right. Thank you.
Abstain.
All right. Mr. Secretary, do we have any board correspondence?
We did receive give me 1 second, I apologize. A communication from an attorney, Jack Bentley, that was forwarded to the rest of the board. Other than that, I haven't received anything that no one else on this board has received, and as well as communication from Kevin I don't want to mess up your last name.
Just,
Gustola. Between October 21st and 28th, 2025, the Elmwood Park Advocate and Library exchanged multiple emails regarding the November 15th meeting room request. The Advocate appealed the director's decision requiring a $100 fee, asserting it is a non-for-profit community group. The director, citing legal counsel, maintains that only formally registered nonprofits qualify for fee waivers. The BGPP meeting will review the appeal and recommend next steps to the board. Elmwood Park resident Tom Wachi criticized the advocates group for using the library to push political agendas and for publicly harassing staff and the director. He stated that the groups continues to interfere in Elmwood Park's matters despite losing the election. Anais Medina, an Elmwood Park resident, appeals the library's decision denying her group's request to use a larger meeting room for a community volunteer project. And Eileen Vielman, another resident and mother, submitted a similar message in support of Anais Medina's position. She reiterated that the group's intent was purely community service and the policy's application felt restrictive to residents.
Thank you for that, Mr. Secretary. Public comment. Gina Smith.
Mike is doing a wonderful job with the library. There's so many programs that are being offered. I'm a little confused though with this whole thing with the renting of the room and what have you. Isn't this room used on a daily basis for activities? Pretty much. And I'm kind of confused as to if we're just going to start letting anybody do meetings here and there's no kind of do's and don'ts, then, and I don't mean any disrespect to anybody, but what's to stop, per se, and I'm just being obnoxious here, the KKK coming in here and wanting to run this. I mean, it's an honest question. I understand that the monetary value behind using this could be questionable, but there's got to be something that, just for the lack of words, there's got to be some boundaries and that I pay taxes. I don't want to give a forum to just anybody, so there's got to be some sort of checks and balances. I guess is where I'm coming from. I think some of the suggestions that were brought up earlier about moms and dads and what have you, if those programs can be implemented within the library, that would be great, but I guess at what point do we draw the line and how do we know that these are actual Elmwood Park residents that are going to be using this facility? That's kind of where I was at, what I was asking.
Okay, thanks for your comments, Gina. Mr. Gastol?
Well, I just wanted to quickly thank the Library Board Policy Committee for passing a temporary moratorium on the fee, and to say that I support it. I thank Trustee Fosco. I actually do take the position that although there have been several months of review and consideration of this, there isn't a problem to me if it takes 3 more months or even 6 more months to get the meeting room policy right. I'm a young resident here of Elmwood Park. I plan to be here for a few decades if I remain healthy. So let's get this meeting room policy correct so that it's something that is approved and supported by a broad range of residents. I also want to express my appreciation, although maybe I haven't shown it in the best way in the past months, but thank you to Trustee Fosco, Trustee Segura, and Trustee Monahan for attending the community conversation. Thanks for coming to see what we were trying to do. It's different. It's coming from a group in Elmwood Park. It wasn't coming from the top down, being organized by the library director. I hear your disgust, Library Board President Pesco, that I didn't reach out to you for comment. I understand there's a responsibility as a journalist to at least ask for a denial. I will in the future seek a denial, but I just would express that I was a little confused. There was a reporter who did some coverage of this back in July, a former reporter with Voice of America, and I believe they reached out to you and you declined to provide a comment. So that might have colored my perspective about just, letting you be. I hope that the Elmwood Park Advocate can continue to play a constructive role in the community. We are a project for news and commentary on the village. I'm going to quickly comment on what came before me because I have spent a fair amount of time chewing over this issue over the last months, as have you all. And I don't know that $100 would be a barrier for the KKK if they wanted to use this library. So we probably have to come up with something else if we're going to stop them from spreading their hate at the library. But there also is this thing called the Constitution. And it is a struggle for libraries across the United States about what speech is permitted in this room, if it's hate-filled, if it's derogatory and demeaning, if it's making people feel unwelcome. What do you do? Because these spaces are funded, and even a person in the KKK is paying taxes in this community. So you really have to be serious. You really have to carefully consider what you're going to do and how you're going to tailor it so that everyone gets to access these spaces. And finally, we'll be hosting our last community conversation of the year on November 15th. In particular, I plan to thank the many seniors of Elmwood Park who have come out and made it a success. But we see people from all ages that have come to these meetings, but they have wisdom. I'm new here. I'm looking forward to hearing from them as we chew over some questions and observations about life in Elmwood Park. So thank you to the board.
All right, Rosalind Sanchez.
My name is Rosalind Sanchez. Forgive me, I didn't put.
Rosalind, I'm sorry. The microphone is for the stream if you want to have.
For the what?
It's for it's being live streamed if you want it.
Yeah, I think it, I don't know, thinking about it. Thank you. I just came because, for one, I appreciate the library. For two, I attended the Elmwood Park Advocate. I think it's a great thing to have community conversation. However, I think that the way that the library is going about it, or the Elmwood Park Advocate going about it, I think we already have some sort of division in the community. I think the way that we're communicating things, and I said it in one of the meetings, I thought the community conversation was great. I thought it was something that could become great for the community, so that we can come together and talk about the things that normally you don't talk about. And I thought it was a great idea. However, I also felt that in the way that we deliver the message, it's either people are going to listen to it or not. I have been a victim of, I'm just expressing how I feel. I've been attacked. I've been criticized on social media. I really don't have time for that. I'm a person of action. I am an advocate, and I'm very passionate about what I believe in. I also feel that we can respectfully, as adults, speak to each other in a manner where we can be heard, we can be respected, and we can feel safe. I want to be able to come to the library knowing that my kids are comfortable, that there's not so much tension and animosity just because somebody said no. We have to, I think it's healthy to agree to disagree. I also think it's healthy to pull somebody aside and have a conversation. I don't think we have to do everything publicly. I don't think that if somebody disagrees with you, you have to go online and make people feel less of a person just because they don't agree with what you're saying. I think that we should, one, in our community, feel safe to be able to have the freedom of speech, to be able to come into spaces. Either we have to pay or we don't have to pay, be able to be respectful about it. Because I personally don't like to feel disrespected. Like right now, I'm uncomfortable because I'm like, okay, do I have to deal with something tomorrow? I'm walking down the circle or walking somewhere else and somebody's going to say something about me. I don't have space for that. I want to feel comfortable. I do things here for free. I have a roller skating event in the rec center. I do it for free. Why? Because I'm trying to bring awareness on inclusion. I have a daughter with special needs, and I want the community to know, hey, this is what this looks like. If you don't agree with me, that's fine. I'm not going to go and attack you online. I'm not going to go and speak ill of you or your relatives or whatever. I'm just saying, if there's a rule and there's a process, let's follow it. If the rule says you have to do this, pay the $100, pay the $100. If the rule says don't pay the $100, then don't pay it. But I feel that there's like this personal vendetta, and I don't know Mike personally. I don't know the advocate personally. I speak for myself. I just think it's becoming like a personal vendetta, and I would appreciate it if we just stop. Let's talk about it. Let's find a solution. If this room doesn't work, let's find another one. I think it's just healthy for everybody. It's causing like this black cloud, and it's also causing division in the community, and I think it's unhealthy. So if we can just figure something out, look at the details, as it works or it doesn't work, and everybody be okay with the decision. You can't be here, go meet in the rec center, the big gym, maybe they could give it to you for free. I don't know. I think that there's enough space for everybody to be able to talk about things that they would like to talk about. So I come and please don't talk about me online tomorrow. Thank you.
Thanks, Roslyn. Jack Bauer?
Thank you. Okay, so I just kind of want to give a recap from my perspective for anyone who hasn't followed this closely, so I can say what it looks like. It happened following the coverage from the Elmwood Park Advocate, watching the board meetings online, and that sort of thing. So the Elmwood Park Advocate used the Ferentino room this summer to host community conversations, calm civic discussions that went off without a single problem. Then the Advocate published a few articles about code enforcement and the village spending taxpayer money on more parking lots. Suddenly, the library administration decided this publication needed to be reined in. They couldn't find any legitimate reason to deny the Advocate the room, so they went hunting through the policy for a loophole. This is my interpretation of that. Yeah, that's right. My opinion. The best they could come up with was to charge a $100 fee. They didn't realize this, but they hadn't charged anyone else for as long as they hold record. When the Advocate objected, rightly calling out the discrimination, the fee was briefly dropped. But instead of learning from the mistake, Director Consiglio, or whoever put you up to it, Director Consiglio, doubled down. A new draft of the meeting room policy was offered that would have let the director and the administration police residents' speech, even for what they said outside the library. It was such an obvious overreach that it collapsed the moment the public saw it. So rather than admit the mistake, the director or whoever is putting Mr. Consiglio up to it tried to save face, reviving the fee, denying the room request, and dragging this issue out before the Board of Trustees. That was the moment that this became your problem. I feel a director's job is to keep this kind of foolishness from ever reaching the trustees, not to embroil you in it. He's done this for no service by putting you in a position where you could be complicit in viewpoint discrimination, and I'm very glad that the BGPP saw this. So I do appreciate your wanting more information before you voted. But also now you're at the point where even if you wanted to impose new policies, they are tainted by this discrimination and suppression of free speech that has already happened, I'm afraid to tell you. You can do it, but you just have to be really careful. Excuse me. As for Director Consiglio or whoever is putting you up to it, is this what you call responsible stewardship? At a time when the library has had to borrow money just to meet expenses, you're spending over like tens of thousands of dollars. I think it was $19,000 in these 3 months on lawyers so you can discriminate against residents you don't like. How do you know who is in the meeting room? You require a library card. You verify addresses through library cards all the time. That's how you know. How do you make sure it's safe? You require the occupants to follow the code of conduct that you've set, which you have security to uphold, which you already require them to do. That wasn't the issue. This is not simply about a fee. It is about a library administration trying to punish community members in whatever petty way it can. I appreciate the trustees seeing reason, particularly Trustee Fosco and of course Trustee Monahan, but the sooner you move past this, the better for everyone. Kevin put together a very reasonable policy in the Advocate. I suggest you use that as a template because you'll have a hard time proposing other policies that aren't already tainted by your previous discriminatory actions. Thank you.
Thanks for your part of the timeline there, Jack. All right. Either no other public comment. Let's move on to the library director's report.
I first want to start, I want to read an email from Tanya King, who replaced Jack Bauer at the Broadview Library. Dear members of the board and Director Consiglio, I am writing as an executive director of the Broadview Public Library District and as a product of the original Elmwood Park Public Library, when it was only a one-story building in the circle across from the White Hen, now Pompeii, to commend your library director, Michael Consiglio, and his staff he leads. Director Consiglio was quick to answer our call for assistance when we sought to train several longtime staff in programming. His responsiveness and generosity set a tone for an effective collegial partnership, and guidance provided by the team was practical, respectful, and immediately useful. During a tour, Director Consiglio graciously provided, I found a well-equipped library staff by caring professionals and guided by a mindful, service-oriented director. The facility and the culture reflects thoughtful stewardship and a clear commitment to community needs. Most recently, under Director Consiglio's leadership, our staff helped us bring a bilingual story time to Broadview, an impact felt by families right away. Please accept my heartfelt thanks for sharing your expertise to strengthen service beyond your borders. I look forward to future collaborations with Director Consiglio and the Elmwood Park Public Library. On behalf of Broadview Public Library District, thank you for your modeling what an interlibrary partnership can achieve. That's very nice.
Who was that from?
Tanya King, Director of Broadview Library. Okay. Well, I think some of you might know, but my third year this month when I started. And the one thing that stands out for the people that did interview me on that Zoom call was the question, what do you see your role as a director? And I don't know if I'd answer the question the same way I answered it, but my role is pretty simple, to execute the policies that the board writes. That's what my role was when I was at the Village of Bensonville, and I stand by that. I also added to that, and it's really important, it's easy for me to tell you what's happening today. 3 years ago, I told you the direction that we wanted to go. And I saw that we needed to move forward because the library is more than books. So, you know, if you remember back in December, I had challenges right away. And the November meeting when you announced me, I stood out in back and everybody walked right past me that was an employee. So I knew I didn't expect it, but I knew I had my work cut out. My first day began, and I'll never forget this. I turn on my computer and I got a FOIA about the hiring practice, and it was filed by a former employee on behalf of a current staff member. By my third day, I called a meeting with my department heads to hear their concerns directly. They were blunt and skeptical and questioning how my operational and educational background could ever prepare me to lead a library. Within 2 weeks, my assistant director resigned for a promotion elsewhere, and within 15 more working days, 2 department heads also resigned. Then comes this 2 weeks later comes the December board meeting. So I've been here 2 weeks. I come to the first board meeting. A part-time employee stood in front and said, and I had never met her, never spoke to her, and she was calling out for my termination. And I think she had some remarks toward the board. She felt that because of my lack of an MLS degree, that I could not perform the job. A department head followed, echoing the same sentiment. The room was filled with outrage, with residents, some of them here today, staff and community members expressing concerns directed at both the board and me. I listened carefully to every comment, complaint, and criticism. In the back of my mind, I began to strategize that if I could address their concerns and improve the library's operation and service quality, I could earn their trust and ultimately win them over. Despite the turmoil, I had already written and presented a strategic plan focused on rebuilding the staff and confidence, expanding programming, and restoring professionalism throughout the library. Now we come into January and March, and it was pretty pivotal around here because what was happening was people were leaving. I offered I offered 3 people a promotion. They declined and resigned. It's understandable. They made it clear that I would need to execute what happened was I realized I'm going to have to execute my strategy a lot faster. Now, remember, I was visiting a library before I was hired. So I was going through it, and I was a customer, and I saw what was going on, and I witnessed it. One of the first things I looked at was how many new programs, 9 new programs. I even no MLS experience. I thought that number was low, the amount of programs going on. My first day, I suggested 4 DIY programs, and I was shot down by staff. But I understood my situation here. Now, during this period, board meetings often become platforms for grandstanding, mainly due to the April election that was following. Each month, I reinforced my open door policy, ensuring staff and residents bring their concerns directly to me. However, it became increasingly apparent that social media had become a preferred place for small groups to express opinions, often without facts or content. The tensions escalated when I announced my plan to create a local history room. The backlash was intense, especially from some librarians who were strongly opposed to the idea. What struck me the most, despite their academic training, they seemed to overlook one of the library's fundamental purposes is being the keeper and the preserver of the community history. That point I could not understand. The turning corner and my response was, from that point on, I made a conscious decision to focus on the progress rather than the opposition. I knew that credibility and trust would come only through results, not debate. I began restructuring departments, retaining staff, and building a culture accountable, respectful, and teamwork. That was the most important thing, because that's what I witnessed what this library lacked. And that's the important for any successful business that I've ever been involved. Still, but in this time, the library would not crumble. We would rebuild stronger. April and June of 23, I kind of call it the cavalry arrived. I had, in those months is when staff started quickly coming on board. There were certain bumps along the way with a few employees still leaving, and that was only due to what I found out to be outside pressure and bullying from individuals determined to stir conflict rather than support the library's progress. But for every challenge that arose, new opportunities followed. Hiring a strong collaborative team brought the stability and professionalism we needed. Bringing in a head librarian, Francesca Romito, along with Sydney Allen Simpson, Alexander Wiseman, Courtney Dow, and Marta, so to set us firmly on a path for success to continue to define the library today. Together, the new team embraced the vision and innovation, service, and community connection, transforming the library into one of the most active and respected institutions in the area. This portion is based on the results and accomplishment from 23 to 25. What began as uncertainty evolved into one of the most productive and transformative periods of this library's history. Over the past 3 years, we have delivered over 50,000 people attended over 3,000 programs. Now, this is compared from the original year prior here of 9,000 and 100 odd programs. Basically, we're doubling anyone our size library. I was down in Normal, Illinois today, this week, picking up free furniture. And the library was very proud to have a community of 50,000. And I asked them about their program. And they said, we do a lot of programs, 32 programs with 100 people. But they're delivering, their format model might be slightly different than ours. I recognize that. But I know financially, we continue to operate at half the cost of comparable libraries, such as Rolling Meadows and the Eisenhower Library, despite offering broader programming and longer hours. Our programs have expanded across all demographics, children, teen, adults, seniors, each benefiting from an innovative, inclusive, and community-centered events. Highlights include the growth of the PNG program, which provides students with hands-on experience in technology, leadership, and digital literacy. And my favorite is the introduction of homeschool programs designed to support families seeking daytime learning and social interaction. A vibrant series of cultural programs follow, including a Spanish camp, which celebrates language, heritage, community, and connection with the community. The library emphasizes education, access to technologies, and local history, has positioned us as a true community hub. Initiatives such as Imaginarium expansion, the grandparent and grandchild services are a focus of intergeneration learning and reflected on our belief that a library must serve every generation. Transparency and accountability have been also essential to our success. The Elmwood Park Public Library remains as one of the few libraries in Illinois that live streams every board meeting and publicly posts financial data policies without requiring a FOIA request. In closing, looking ahead, when I reflect on where we started and where we are today, I'm reminded that actual progress rarely comes without resistance. The early challenges, staff resignations, public criticism, and doubt became the foundation for growth, renewal, and purpose. What unites us now is a shared belief that the Elmwood Park Library is more than a building filled with books. It is a living, breathing institution that connects people, preserves history, and inspires learning. I want to extend my most profound appreciation to the Board of Trustees for their continual support and trust. Your commitment to policy, accountability, and long-term vision of this library made it possible to the move from reaction to strategy and from division to direction. To our staff, who I really have to thank for your resilience, dedication, and creativity. You are the reason we have achieved record-breaking attendance, record-level satisfaction, and renewed reputation for excellence. As we look forward to the next 5 years, our focus remains clear. Continue expanding our education and cultural programming, invest in staff development and training, so every employee can grow with the library, modernize our spaces and technology. Together, we've proven that when leadership, staff, and trustees share the same vision, even the most difficult beginnings can lead to extraordinary outcomes. The past 3 years have prepared us not only to sustain success, but to define what a modern library should be. Thank you for allowing me to read that. I have a few items that I do want to talk about today. I gave you a director's report. It gives a recap on the program and everything going on at the library. But a couple of things have occurred. You might have heard me earlier that I joined an advocate group, Neighborhood Voices, and I met an individual who grew up 2 blocks from me at Armitage and Neva. He owns the Wingstop in Elmwood Park, and he offered us a $10,000 grant. And in that grant, we were able to purchase 8 Chromebooks and a connectivity for those 8 Chromebooks. Because if you remember the last meeting, I've been talking about, and I will later, about beyond books. We need to expand this. And along with that, I had recently applied, and we'll hear back in January from Beacon on another grant for $20,000. Well, they'll give us the total amount in Chromebooks, and then they'll offer us 1 year of free connectivity. Another thing I want to mention, the board meeting is going to be changed for January, February. It'll be held in the Corbell Room. We have some programming. The size of the amount of people in programming is conducive to this room. I thank you.
Did you hit the beacon and?
Yeah, I did. I
Okay,
did.
okay. And board meeting change?
Yeah, I just mentioned it.
Yeah, okay. And then training, there's training in your packet too. Did you
Yeah.
touch on that?
Yeah, and I'll get with each one of you and individually on going through some training for trustees that the state had set aside. I haven't had a chance to go through it more, so I could walk you through it. But it just gives you a further development on roles and responsibilities of a trustee.
Thank you. Trustee Santangelo, do you have a building committee report?
Nothing new to report.
Okay. And trustee Segura, do you have a BGPP?
Yes, the BGPP is recommending to have a moratorium on the meeting room fees until the committee has reached the resolution on the policy.
Yeah, so are you saying you're making a motion to to recommend a temporary moratorium on all meeting room fees pending further review?
That is correct.
Do we have a second on that?
Second.
Seconded by trustee Fosco. Any more discussion on it? No? Okay. Mr. Secretary, will you please call the question?
Trustee Bolundis,
Yes.
Trustee Santangelo,
Yes.
Trustee Monahan,
Yes.
Trustee Narayan,
Yeah.
Trustee Fosco,
Yes.
Trustee Segura, yes. Trustee Pesco.
Yes. Carries, okay. All right, any other things to report from BGPP?
None at this time.
Good, thank you. Trustee Segura, trustee Belundis, anything from Finance Committee?
The documents were reviewed and there's nothing new to report.
And I noticed in the balance sheet that there's year-to-date 33,000 illegal, right? And a lot of that for a lot of different things other than just the
Yes,
room,
correct.
correct?
Correct,
The TAW, as well as some personnel issues that we had earlier in the year too?
correct.
Got it, okay. Anything else, trustee Blondis? Okay, thank you. Unfinished business, I think we're good, now that we've had the BGPP meeting. Do I have a motion to approve the close of the library at 5 p.m. on December 26th? Day of Christmas.
So moved.
I'll second.
Trustee Fosco, trustee Santangelo. Any discussion on that? This is obviously
Yes,
over the.
that's our Christmas party. Everyone's invited. Mike, let us know if your children will be attending. Families, everyone invited.
All right, any other discussion on it? All right, can you call the question?
Trustee Bolundis,
Yes.
Trustee Santangelo,
Yes.
Trustee Monahan,
Yes.
Trustee Narayan, Trustee Fosco,
Yes.
Trustee Segura, yes. Trustee Pesco.
Yes. Do I have a motion for the approval of a resolution requesting the Village of Elmwood Park to issue a tax anticipation warrant and approving an intergovernment agreement between the Village of Elmwood Park and the Elmwood Park Public Library in regard to the issuance of a tax anticipation warrant?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by trustee Belundis,
Second.
seconded by trustee Monahan. Obviously, this is a discussion on this. This is what we need to keep the library running in lieu of the taxes that have not been collected yet by the county. Any other discussion?
So I know the tax bills are being sent out. Do we have any idea when the payment comes into us?
Well, they have a collection date on it, but, when my concern, and again, I'm looking ahead, the next 3 years, I think we're in a difficult position. Because I'm hoping, financial people tell people, you save your own tax dollars in your own bank account. I hope nobody spent it. But we basically have a little bit over a 95% return on collection. I have to anticipate that going down 5 to 10%, and I have to plan that way. So I've been working the last 2 weeks on cash flow analysis and a 5-year view on expenses and revenues to see where we're at with it. But it's going to take a while for everyone to catch up, trustee Monahan, and we got to be well aware of it and prepare for it.
Yeah, and so when they send the bills out though, right, I mean, a lot of times they go to an escrow, so they're gonna pay 100% of that right away.
Right.
If they're going to people without escrow, then they can get on a payment plan, so those funds will slowly trickle in,
Slowly
correct?
trickle in.
And then we have to pay back the original TAW as they come in, too.
Right, and it's last year, and going forward, our 2 payments are March and August. And so we have to plan our money flow that way. And we have to have our budgets aligned with the appropriation now. And, what funding are we going to lose? We lost P&G funding, but we continue to do the program. That was minimum, but it was still $10,000. $10,000 is 100 programs to us.
Mhm.
So there is impact on that. The per capita dollars are consistent. We received that. The money that we were getting a few dollars from the group that gives us money to hold the yoga programs. Age options? Yeah, age options, and we continue all of the programs and track expenses accordingly. We're not gonna, as I've said before, and told staff every Wednesday at 1:30, we're not gonna cut any programs. Even through these tough times, we've made adjustments, and we're gonna continue delivering the programs that we do.
Any other discussion on the tax increment? Motion that's on the table? No? Okay. Trustee Segura, will you please call the question?
Trustee Bolundis,
Yes.
Trustee Santangelo,
Yes.
Trustee Monahan,
Yes.
Trustee Narayan,
Yes.
Trustee Fosco,
Yes.
Trustee Segura, yes, Trustee Pesco.
Yes. Do you have a motion to enter an executive session pursuant to 5 ILCS 122C1 for the appointment of employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees, specific individuals who serve as independent contractors in a park, recreation, or educational setting, particularly volunteers of the public body or legal counsel for that public body?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
And all those in favor say, oh, wait, no, go ahead and call the question.
Trustee Bolundis,
Yes.
Trustee Santangelo,
Yes.
Trustee